Top 5 Deadliest Boeing Disasters. Shadows over the sky. The deadliest Boeing disasters, asterisk. Before every flight, there is a goodbye. A husband kisses his wife and promises to call when he lands. A little girl waves at her father through an airport window. A young couple dreams about the future waiting for them on the other side of the world. For most travelers, those goodbyes are temporary. REWROTE. They become the last words they will ever hear. Every boarding pass tells a story. Every occupied seat holds a lifetime of memories. And every aircraft carries hundreds of futures that have not yet been lived. Millions of people fly safely every day. But history remembers the days when everything went wrong. Days when families waited at arrival gates that would never open. Days when telephones rang in the middle of the night. Days when hope slowly turned into grief. Tonight, we remember 5 tragedies that changed aviation forever. Not as statistics, not as headlines, but as human stories. Stories of courage, stories of fear, stories of ordinary people who boarded an airplane expecting tomorrow. Every time a commercial airliner lifts off the ground, a silent pact is sealed between human engineering and the laws of physics. For decades, the skies have been dominated by giants of metal and aluminum, none more iconic than the aircraft designed by Boeing. They are the workhorses of global civilization, carrying millions of souls across oceans and continents daily. But when aviation fails, it fails with catastrophic majesty. Behind the strict safety margins of modern travel lies a trail of broken aluminum, structural fractures, and systemic flaws written in the names of those who never came home. Today, we go beyond the statistics. We look at the 5 deadliest disasters involving Boeing aircraft in aviation history. From the absolute chaos of a fog-shrouded runway to a broken bulkhead in the mountains of Japan, and the terrifying realities of human error and geopolitical warfare. These are the moments that changed safety standards forever. This is Shadows Over the Sky. March 27, 1977. Los Rodeos Airport on the Spanish island of Tenerife. Itiasmal Port. Completely overwhelmed by redirected commercial traffic after a bomb exploded at nearby Gran Canaria Airport. Stranded on the tarmac are 2 massive corporate giants. KLM Flight 4805, a brand new Boeing 747-200, packed with Dutch vacationers coming from Amsterdam, and Pan Am Flight 1736, another 747 originating from Los Angeles. Neither aircraft was ever supposed to be here. By late afternoon, a thick blanket of sea fog drops over the airport, dropping visibility to less than 300 meters. The control tower cannot see the aircraft. The pilots cannot see each other. The only connection between them is a single crowded radio frequency data. Legendary pilot, eager to take off before his crew exceeds. The only connection between them is a single crowded radio frequency. Their legal duty hours. He lines up his massive 747 at the end of runway 30 at the same time. The Pan Am 747 is instructed to taxi down the runway and exit at taxiway 3 to clear the path. KLM First Officer, we are now at takeoff. Tenerife ATC, okay. Stand by for takeoff. I will call you. But a fatal error occurs. The word, okay, is heard by the KLM crew. But the vital instruction. Within microsecond, everything changed to ashes. August Japon Airline. Flight 123 leaves Tokyo, Haneda. Bound for Osaka, on board are 520 for people. Many traveling home for the traditional Oban holiday. The aircraft is a Boeing 747 short range, heavily modified to handle frequent domestic takeoffs and landings. One summer evening, a plane full of people heading home for Japan's Oban Festival, time to honor ancestors, became ancestors themselves. Among the dead, a 3-generation family returning from a wedding. A grandfather holding his grandson's hand. A young woman who had just gotten her first job. And a father who promised to coach his son's baseball game the next morning. Fort 32. Horrifying minutes after an explosive decompression ripped off the tail. The pilots fought impossible odds while passengers scrolled desperate goodbyes on air sickness bags. Asterisk Mitsuko, raise our children well. Asterisk one man wrote. Asterisk I never wanted to leave you. Asterisk when rescue finally came the next morning. Investigators found bodies still strapped to seats. Some clutching photographs. One holding a child's shoe. The mountain burned for 3 days. So did the hearts of everyone who waited at the arrival gate that never opened. November 12, 1996. The sky over Chowki, Dodri, a small town just west of New Delhi, India. Two airliners are heading toward each other in the same narrow air corridor. Saudia, Flight 763, a Boeing 747-100, has just departed New Delhi, climbing smoothly en route to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Coming from the opposite direction is Kazakhstan Airlines, Flight 1907, on Ilyushin Il-6 transport aircraft from Shamkin, descending toward New Delhi. In 1996, New Delhi's airport relied on primary surveillance radar, which showed controllers where a plane was horizontally, but did not automatically transmit the aircraft's altitude. The air traffic controller has to manually track their heights based on voice reports from the pilots. Data issues clear, unambiguous instructions. He tells the Kazakh Ilyushin to descend and maintain 15,000 feet. He instructs the Saudia Boeing 747 to climb to 14,000 feet. There should be a safe 1,000-foot vertical cushion between the two jets. But inside the Kazakh cockpit, things are breaking down. The crew struggles with language barriers, translating the English commands from ATC. Furthermore, the aircraft lacks a modern traffic collision avoidance system, or TCAS. The Kazakh flight crew descends right through their assigned altitude of 15,000 feet without realizing it. The radio operator suddenly notices the mistake and shouts to the pilot to pull up. But it is too late. The two planes are traveling at a combined closing speed of over 700 miles per hour. Out of the clouds, the massive Kazakh transport jet emerges right in front of the climb path of the Saudia Boeing 747. The crippled Boeing 747 disintegrates midair, spinning violently as it falls to the earth. crashing into the fields of Chaki Dodri, the Kazakh. Aircraft plunges into a nearby field. All 312 people aboard the Saudia Boeing, and all 37 people on the Kazakhstan flight are killed instantly. 349 lives lost in a fraction of a second. The Chaki Dodri collision stands as the deadliest mid-air collision in history. The sheer scale of the tragedy forced the Indian Ministry of Civil Aviation to make TCAS systems absolute and mandatory for all commercial aircraft. Quickly adopted worldwide, ensuring that planes would never have to rely solely on human voice communication to avoid a collision again. March 8th, 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. Boeing 777-200er. Heartbreak in one long sentence, half length. There is no crash site, no black box, no final voice recording, only the suffocating silence of a Boeing 777 that vanished from radar at 1:19 a.m. carrying 239 souls. A husband who kissed his wife goodbye and promised to call when he landed. A little girl who waved at her father through airport glass until he became nothing. A young couple engaged 3 weeks who dreamed of naming their unborn children, and then the plane turned west, away from Beijing, away from reason, away from hope. And in Beijing, families gathered at the arrival gate watching. Asterisk, flight MH370 now arriving. Asterisk. Flash on the screen, watching the doors open, watching nothing come out except cold air. And that moment when hope cracks open and grief pours in never ended. For the families who spent years waiting by silent telephones, sleeping next to empty pillows, buying birthday cards for people who would never open them, like Mr. Bai, who stood at the airport every morning for 1,700 days holding a photo of his son who had promised to bring him a coat from Beijing, a coat that never arrived. And like Jiang Kui, who still charges her phone every night because her husband always texted, asterisk, love you, sleep well, asterisk, after takeoff. But that night, the text never came. And for the young fiancé who never married because she said, asterisk, I already said my vows, he just couldn't hear them, asterisk. And for all the parents who cannot visit a grave because there is no grave, cannot say goodbye because how do you say goodbye to someone who did not die, but simply vanished like breath into winter air, leaving only a piece of wing flap covered in barnacles on a distant beach, and the unbearable weight of not knowing whether they suffered or held each other in the dark or cried out a name that no one heard. So tonight a mother in Beijing still dials a number that no longer exists and whispers, asterisk, call me when you land, asterisk. And a wife still keeps his coffee cup on the table. And a daughter still buys a Father's Day card every June and places it in a drawer. Because for them the clock stopped at 1:19 a.m. on March 8, 2014. And no amount of time will ever restart it. And that is the true heartbreak of Malaysia Airlines. Flight 370, not the falling, but the vanishing, not the ending, but the endless, answerless, agonizing silence, where every goodbye that was supposed to be temporary becomes a farewell forever. Thank you for watching. If you want to keep exploring the history, psychology, and science of flight, subscribe and stay locked into the channel. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies.